It's Tuesday Night Live as we talk the fundamentals of baseball and, of course, the first place Yankees and Mets Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with the dog, Jeff Healy. We are doing a Tuesday Night Live. We haven't done one of these, in a while. It's Tuesday. I mean, we do a Monday Night Live, a Friday Night Live, whatever. But we're back in the saddle. We're not together. We're zooming it, and we're glad to do it because this has been an epic baseball season for the New York locals, and it's been a pretty awesome one all the way around the majors. There's been so much to talk about, even outside of the locals. But we've been focusing more on the Yanks and Mets. We're going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals on this show as well after a recent article by America's Most Beloved Sportswriter, Kernan. I botched it, dog. You put it in my head. By Kevin Kernan at AMBS, America's Most Beloved Sportswriter on ball9.com. And of course, that's part of like the She Gone Nation thing that we do with our buddy Jeff Fry. And it underlies a lot of the stuff that Dog and I believe and that we've seen in our 50 plus years, 100 plus combined, and watching baseball for most of that time as with relevant eyes. You can't say we've watched 100 years of baseball understanding it the whole time, but we're close. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we are going to delve into, of course, the Yankees and the Mets and some other great stuff that is happening around baseball. We'll also start it off with the veteran of the day and end it with Diehard Dads. So if you're new to the show, we get you started that way. If you have a veteran that you'd like to honor, it doesn't cost you anything. Just follow us on social media and send us a message that you would like to honor a veteran of the day. You can nominate yourself. We'll do pretty much anybody as long as they're, a veteran and they're of the day. They could be living, deceased. It could be, could be,
Foreign?
yeah,
I'll
could
do a
be,
foreign. Sure.
it could be your next door neighbor. It could be, your great grandfather from the 1700s. I mean, it could be anything. We've done all kinds, and we're glad to do it. And we will do that again shortly as when I introduce the dog. But first, you gotta follow us, right? Like we said, and the ways to do that are on social media at Diamond Diehards, pretty much everywhere. If you look for Diamond Diehards on social media, the ways that you'll be able to interact. There's a great Facebook group that we have, facebook.com/groups/Diamond Diehards. Twitter, I'm still disappointed. Not that like I really care about the follower thing, but it kind of helps you spread your podcast when you have a little more than like whatever 320 followers. On my other account, Rear Naked Choke, I have like 2,000, and I barely even do anything on there anymore. And I'd like to be able to build the podcast up a little bit more via Twitter and social media, but it's a great way to interact because I'm there and it's actually me, and I'll answer all the bullshit that you throw at me, probably. So follow there at Diamond Diehards, and you can follow the dog on Twitter at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. And we'll be good to go over there. If you have inquiries, if you want to put your veteran for veteran of the day, or if you'd like to share an anecdote with us, or if you want to just tell us that you love us or you hate us, we're glad to have you along. As long as you subscribe everywhere you find your podcast. So whatever you're listening to this on or watching on, if you haven't subscribed, we really need you to do that because it big time helps us. And if you want to do some business inquiries, you'll hear a little bit about our current sponsors in a few minutes. Not yet. But if you're interested in doing a little business with us, just contact us any way that you see fit. It's 2022, and there's plenty of ways to do that. We're pretty accessible. So we are gonna kick it off as we always and almost often do. Not all the time, but pretty much most of the time, with veteran of the day. Dog is an Army veteran. His service is documented on here pretty often, but if this is the first time you're listening, Dog is an Army vet, and he delivers our veteran of the day. Dog?
All right, Riz, this turned into a little bit of a research project for me today. I actually had a lot of fun with this. So our veteran of the day is Margaret Corbin, and we're going to come back and start explaining who she is. I first thought, most of the time when I'm looking around for Veteran Day, if we don't have something preset or something like that, I'll kind of look, I'll do like this day in military history and stuff like that. And maybe like some things will kind of pop out to me, and maybe I'll look up someone in the unit or something like that. So my initial one was going to be Molly Pitcher, because today is the anniversary of the Battle of Monmouth, right? So obviously all New Jersey folks on here know that, Molly Pitcher, very famous Revolutionary War for going and stepping in when her husband fell in battle, and went and continued to fire the cannon against the British. So very, very famous story. Most kids kind of learn it in elementary school and stuff. The wrinkle is that's not exactly, well, the wrinkle is the person who was credited with it, Miss Macaulay, was unlikely to actually have been the person who was actually Molly Pitcher. So this is where it took off. So I had a relief pitcher coming in here. So
Literally a relief
I had the whole
pitcher.
relief. I'm about to say, I had it all set up there. All of a sudden, like I'm reading like Smithsonian magazine. It's like no, it wasn't her. I'm like, there goes Veteran of the Day. So now I start reading maps. I'm like, okay, now you have my interest. So I was reading, and it turns out that who they believe, it's sort of like a conglomeration of a couple different stories, including like George Washington was sort of like relayed it, like it wasn't necessarily entirely true. So but what it was sort of a mix of a couple of different folks, but the primary one turned out to be Margaret Corbin, is who they believe. She was one very similar to the stories, that she followed her husband to battle, basically because they were afraid that the British could grab her or whatever else if she was at home alone. So she went and followed the army as a camp follower, doing the cooking and sewing and stuff like that. And she was up in Fort Washington, New York, November 16th, 1776. The British wound up attacking. So this was like the last fort in New York. So New York is a very pro-British town. So for the rebels, Fort Washington was sort of like the last stand up there. So husband wound up dying during the battle. This was the British Navy, the Royal Navy, sailed up the Hudson and disembarked Hessian mercenaries, who were some of the best fighters in the world at that time. So they were coming, storming the way up, and husband goes down, and Margaret steps in and basically is like Annie Oakley with this cannon and starts like blasting the Hessians left, right, and center. So they eventually have to stop the attack and like go just take out this one cannon. So they can continue to assault. Wound up being the last cannon to take it out. So basically, it was the last shot fired in defense of New York. Was fired by Margaret Corbin. She was shot repeatedly, so that's why she stopped eventually. She was severely wounded, almost killed. Wound up losing her left arm. The British medical doctors came in and saved her and moved up to West Point, where she cared for injured soldiers for the rest of the year. The rest of the war. So it turns out in July 6, 1779, all the soldiers had talked about Captain Molly, who was so that's again kind of how it came in with like Molly Pitcher. The Captain Molly was firing the cannon, and that turned out to be Margaret Corbin. So Congress in July 6, 1779 gave her a lifetime pension in recognition of her service. The reason why it was notable is it's the first time ever that Congress acknowledged the military contributions of a woman in the military. Ironically, or maybe not, or maybe more foreshadowing, it was half of a man's pension, even though she clearly would have like earned like the Medal of Honor had it even existed at the time, the way she did. So that's just maybe par for the course. So then she was buried in Highland Park, which is right outside West Point, because that's where she had served and whatnot. And then during the American Revolution, found out about her, had her reinterred at West Point in the cemetery there in 1926 with full military honors, which she did not get when she was buried the first time. And she's one of only 2 Revolutionary War soldiers who are buried at West Point. West Point, obviously, primarily came along as a university after the Revolutionary War, obviously. So now the little twist at the end of all of this is in 2016 they did an installation of a crypt at West Point, and they came upon her body there, and reasons I'm not entirely sure, when I'm doing a DNA test, and I realized it wasn't her body. So now they are on the look. They're hunting around. It's in somewhere in Highland Park, which again is like right outside of West Point. They're seeking to try and find her actual remains, which I guess were put in headstone on the wrong grave or something like that, right, from way back when. Trying to find her and then reinter her at West Point. So one heck of a story. when I'm going down the hole on that one, but a lot of fun stuff I've never heard anything about. So again, our veteran of the day is the real Molly pitcher, Captain Molly, Margaret Corbin, and that's it. That's all you get.
I just cracked one open
In
honor of Molly Pitcher.
There you go.
New Jersey's best.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm going with the Trogs tonight, Dawg. That was pick that up in Hershey.
Very nice. I'm going with the flavored seltzer because I have my canoe trek coming up in 2 weeks. So I gotta get going. I got the 40-50 miles of canoeing to do. So
you gotta watch those carbs.
Exactly. Just more to row.
That's right. All right. So Kevin Kernan is known as at AMBS on Twitter, America's Most Beloved Sportswriter. Now, this guy's forgotten more about baseball than most people will ever know. His recent article on Ball9, BALLNINE.com, is a 20-year look back at Moneyball, the book, more so than the movie, but a little focus on the movie. And Dawg, this totally struck you and I independently, and I think you had a good tweet about it, acknowledging I think that this should be like required reading for this is a Dawg 2 days ago at Jeff Healy 8. This would be required reading at Shigan U, but they've already been fighting this fight. Kevin did a great job writing this article. I concurred. And we felt so strongly about it that we wanted to talk a little bit, not necessarily about the specifics of the article, which you should definitely go ahead and read,
yep.
But, the idea behind it, right, Dawg?
Yep.
That was really what we were looking at.
Yeah, exactly. And just, just really encapsulated a lot of the stuff that we had talked about, that we've been talking about since the start of the show, really. And just the all-consuming desire to measure stuff and get figures and different things like that, and just ignoring the stuff that doesn't necessarily fit into what can be modeled into how you create the perfect player or whatnot. And he kind of used examples of looking at undervalued players, but then, oh, by the way, there's all sorts of scouting talent that brought in the three best pitchers in baseball practically, and Miguel Tejada, who was an unknown shortstop at the time. So there was no figures, there was no undervaluing on that. That was just going out finding value, and basically got completely ignored in it. And the bashing of Art Howe as well, which again, that was more of a movie thing, I think, than from what I remember from the book. The book was critical. I don't remember the book being as much. It was definitely taken to an extreme in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie it was like a hack job on Art Howe, and anybody who was around baseball knew that was a hack job, that he didn't deserve that. And I think it was you that made a comment about it too, that maybe it just like the New York stage wasn't great for him, but that didn't really reflect on his baseball acumen. It just meant that certain things about his makeup and his demeanor were probably, made him a little easy to attack for the Sharks and the New York media. But he did it. The guy was a good manager,
Yeah.
And the thing about Moneyball and this article that was interesting, like you said, you're talking Barry Zito, Tim Hudson, and Mark Mulder, all of whom were, Zito was a first round pick, Hudson was a sixth round pick, and Mulder was the second overall pick. And that was in, they were all within 97 to 99. And, Miguel Tejada, we had a little insight on Miguel Tejada because when he was coming up through the minors, our friend Miguel Jimenez was sent kind of down to the minors and got to hang on and mentored Miguel Tejada on his way up because he had, a common Dominican background. So our Miguel helped the Miguel Tejada, who eventually won the National League, the American League MVP with what Kevin Kernan explained. 308 average, 34 home runs, 131 RBIs in 2002. In his words, all super valued traditional numbers in the game for more than a century. So that brings us to kind of where we are now, right, Dog? We see these batting averages, they're so low, and the devaluation of that stat over the analytic that will tell you that this person has great exit velocity, but like we're creating players who have swings and they go up there and they do their swing, but they're less and less baseball players. And the more we're seeing teams comprised of baseball players, we're seeing those teams having ravenous success.
Yep.
And the teams that like the Yankees are just they have the perfect combination of that. They have the guys who jump off the page in terms of analytics mixed in with the guys who just know how to play baseball.
Yep.
And they're just giving you something every time that they go out there. There's something new. They can win these games 10-1. They if they hit the homers, they're just automatically winning the game at this point. But they don't have to hit the homers to win these games. They can
Yep.
scratch and claw and do some of these things that they haven't been able to do in past years. And combine that with some nice traditional pitching, which is their starters are going relatively deep into games. They're doing it with some amount of consistency. And, their bullpen, it's as you said, it's like every guy they bring in from the scrap heap. Tonight, it's Tuesday, June 28th. They're leading Oakland. They bring in J.P. Sears to give him a start, and he's got a four-hitter through or three-hitter through 5 2/3 innings before he gave way to Marinaccio and Wandy Peralta and now Michael King. So, the Yankees, they have a 2-0 lead over Oakland, and this is like the story that we keep seeing over and over. Even if they blow this lead, they're just going to probably, they're if they blow the lead in the ninth, they'll just come back in the bottom of the ninth or the 10th and like win the game anyway. Like it's everything they touch is gold at this point. The Mets have had their way with a lot of the same things too. Like you look at the averages, you look at the numbers, you look at the stats, and you have certain guys who jump off the page, but not everybody. And yet, Dog, they just win and they keep winning, and then they win some more.
Except for tonight. Tonight they get hammered, but yeah, it really is. It may, and again, maybe it's tie back again to where we're kind of talking the whole Moneyball and stuff, right? Like Moneyball, it's all about not making it out, like, but that's not really it, right? It's really how do you score more runs than the other guy, and to not making it out is yes, that's certainly part of the ways, but it's not the end. Right, the end is to score the run, and that's what I think where Moneyball kind of breaks down. We've kind of talked this before, right? It's all the little stuff that again the Yankees are infusing now, and the Mets are doing. Astros are another example of a team kind of similar sort of breakout where they're doing those smart things. They're playing the smart baseball, moving a guy over. Right now that's an anti-Moneyball thing. Yet guess what? How many playoff games do you see get won by something like that? Right, where a guy's going for a hit, but if he doesn't get a hit, he moves the run over and he sets it up for the next guy to go. And they just constantly get blown up in it. And that's, I think, like they're trying to tire out the pitcher. That doesn't work in the playoffs, right? You have plenty of pitchers around there. You have your best guys. Your starter goes in, your fifth starter goes into the pen. There's more off days mixed in with it, right? So like the whole like trying to maximize your win potential, I guess, for 162 games doesn't work or isn't a guarantee that it's going to work in the playoffs. And I think it just gets shown up more and more. The other one I saw thought too, it was funny with the one knee down that which is another one Shigan guys absolutely go berserk on to try and get the low strike and sneak that by and gives up all the wild pitches and stuff. That once again, if you're maximizing, you're trying to maximize to get a strikeout versus making sure the other team doesn't score a run, and it just gets blown up more and more each time. Each season it seems to be getting worse and worse with that.
Doug, that is my biggest of all of these things. I mean, I can't stand the uppercut swings. I can't stand these guys doing the same swing on two strikes. Oh, I mean, it's frustrating, but the thing, the one knee catching just drives me crazy because
Yeah.
I don't know how it has gotten so rampant so quickly, even to the major league level. I mean, look, they've ruined Gary Sanchez doing that. Not that he was going to be Johnny Bench behind the plate, but even Scott Bradley, the former major league catcher and now the longtime head coach of the Princeton Tigers baseball team here in New Jersey, he felt that Sanchez was to some degree maybe salvageable, that he could be at least, major league average. I mean, he certainly had a good arm, and but they've ruined him with this whole one knee catching stuff. And the irony is, the Yankees went out and they changed up their catching to get better defensive guys, and I guess they dropped that mandate for all catchers throughout the organization have to do the one knee bullshit. And it's like, look at the Yankees and the Mets. Their catching is, not offensively lighting the world on fire. Now, the Yankees have definitely gotten way more out of Jose Trevino than they ever could have imagined or hoped for. He's with the stick he's been clutch. He's given them some real good offensive lifts, but he's more been clutch, and he's been a guy that he's gotten a couple of great hits at the right time, but overall his numbers are not really going to blow you away. I mean, they're good. You'll take it, especially for a guy who's good defensively. But he's not Carlton Fisk, so he's not Munson back there. When he's up at the dish, so they've underscored back into their own organization the importance of catching as a defensive position, the importance of shortstop as a defensive position. They've let Aaron Judge, who is their best defensive center fielder, play a lot more in center field, right? Like Aaron
Yep.
Hicks, we had seen a guy that we bashed, and Dog's favorite guy to bash. Well, Aaron Hicks, is still pretty decent in center. He looked like he had a drop off there, a severe drop off in limited time last year. But now mixing in center with left, and all of a sudden, like he's starting to look like, wow, he's really good in left, and he's pretty decent still in center. And you know, Joey Gallo is a horrible offensive player by all metrics that that were used up until 1992. But his defense has been the thing that has made him at least worth it. Like his offense hasn't killed him because his defense has been so good that it's been able to give them a little bit of flexibility. Why Miguel Andujar is not out there just playing all the time over him is probably because of the defensive thing. And they keep winning all these games. Why would you really go and make that change? And if you could just just give it up and just bat the guy ninth and say he's out there for his glove. I mean, his glove is not hurting you. His glove and his arm are helping you. He plays left, he plays right. So you have all these different kind of guys, and Josh Donaldson, not the Yankee fans' favorite player, but he's a baseball player. He does those things, and He'll hit to move a guy over. He'll hit situationally. He'll change his swing with two strikes. He's a little bit better at third base than I expected him to be. He's a grinder. He talks too much. We don't like the shit that he says. He's embarrassed our organization. Um, but he does give them a little bit of grit, and they haven't had that sort of thing. And of course, there's cousin Anthony, same thing, right? Tremendous defensive player, and uh, it just plays baseball, situationally hits, will give himself up in the right situation to get the runner where he needs to be. Clutch hitting late. His clutch numbers are among the best in baseball. His overall numbers are really not that hot except for the home runs. So you see it up and down the Yankee lineup. And Dawg, I mean, are these other teams going to start to copycat the Yanks by just valuing now, you know, guys who play baseball?
It's funny. Um, I mean, just like following up with you on the Yankees, right? I mean, it's exactly what we said last year. Like, you need to strengthen up the middle and need to get the guys who can get the timely hit versus trying to get the 6-run homer every time. And the Yankees got out and instantly turned it around and did a fantastic job remaking their lineup and the and the defensive lineup. Um, yeah, it's funny that the two to three big money teams are going out and doing what we talked about the second division teams should have been going out to do, like the Pirates, the Royals, like all those sorts of franchises should be going out and just trying to get the good baseball player who doesn't hit a ton of home runs or stuff like that, and start getting those fundamentals back into the game. And it's kind of funny to me that you see between the Mets and the Yankees are sort of one of the first ones to kind of jump back into that and get into that. So they're actually getting, they're getting great value from guys who are not super big money guys, and just go out and play the game right, and get. And I would say for the Mets, in addition, Buck Showalter has been a huge, huge godsend to help change around that organization, and he's clearly infused everyone who comes up with that to basically just start playing smart baseball and stop beating themselves like the Mets have kind of traditionally done for decades.
And done it well.
Yes, they have. So yeah, I mean, looking like you're saying for like the Mets, I'm like, I was just kind of peeking when you're talking over there and stuff, and again, we'll use the Moneyball metric, like on the OPS, like you get one guy in 900, right? So Alonso, and then McNeil's like mid to eights. Nimmo's just below 8 at this point. He had been kind of in the 8s for most of the time, kind of cooled off. Like that's kind of it. Everyone else is sort of like down like the 750 or 70 whatever. So they're not they're not tearing the cover off the ball, but somehow they stitch it all together and find a way to be one of the highest scoring teams in baseball, despite the fact like by going by your traditional Moneyball sort of number on there, they shouldn't be doing that, right? And that they had a plus 67 run differential coming into tonight, which again, that sort of shows that A, maybe they're overachieving a little bit, and B, the Buck factor, that he's finding a way to get him that one run victory that they would have blown in the past, and that has made all the difference.
Yeah, it's a great point. The run differential heading into this game was plus 67. After this game against the Astros, it might be even.
it's not going. Yeah, we're
not
too well. I was hoping for a little revenge after last week's sweeping. I'm like, ooh, not so much.
Tuesday Night Live is more like Tuesday Night Dead for the Mets tonight.
Yes, exactly. And we'll have to see how it is for crude oil. We have made the case that the New York Mets and crude oil have been very correlated. So as the Mets do well, the crude oil price goes up. So
really,
I do oiling. Yeah, exactly. And it's not gonna be good tomorrow.
Let's go Astros.
yeah. Well, that's true. It is Houston.
It's Houston.
That's a good point. That might be an offset. We'll see. Other people started to switch it over to Judge. So maybe that's a better sign.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, so it works.
Well,
Not,
no,
not for your
wait, I won't
gasoline
take
price.
that. No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
So let's say I want a few people actually happy about the high oil price.
Yeah.
So
But you do have Alonso and Lindor with the traditional numbers as our RBI machines, right?
yeah,
And you have Starling Marte as, a 284 hitter and Nimmo at 279 with a high on base percentage up top. So you have a very traditional kind of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
yep,
And then they mix and match whoever is going to be the DH usually in the 5 spot. And then Escobar is kind of a traditional 6 hitter, low average, kind of can hit you some home runs, driving runs. Kana, who's bounced around in the lineup, he's usually down there in 7, or sometimes he's up at in 2, but he's more been a lower of the order guy. He's a good situational guy, right?
yep.
Like he'll
Nice clutch hitter. Yep.
put the bat on the ball, get you a clutch hit, can draw a walk for you, and McNeil usually bats higher in the order maybe, but against the lefties, like in this, they're against Framber Valdez in this game, so he's batting. He batted 8th, and then Guillorme came in, and James McCann is back. So you look at again the catchers, between the catchers on the Yankees and the Mets, these guys have really
a lot
been
of Mendozas.
yeah, a lot. I mean, but who cares?
Yeah.
They're blocking balls, right? They're doing stuff like that. So for me, Dawg, one of these things, I had one of these seminal moments, and it was a college baseball game, and I kind of went nuts, on sort of on my own, and maybe even on Twitter at this point. And this is probably a couple of months ago. Now it's maybe not that well documented to everybody out there, but Tennessee had the number one team in the nation pretty much from like day one, and they got their comeuppance in their regional. They didn't even win their regional to get to the College World Series in Omaha, which eventually was won by Ole Miss, which has a Bergen Catholic High School graduate on there, although he's more famous for playing football. Which he's better at, but he's still anyway. So we'll get to that later, but or we just won't even get to it at all because I got to it for the most amount that we're going to get to it unless we get him on the show. But Tennessee has this kid who throws like 104, 101. I don't, he just throws the shit out of the ball, right? And they're like a number one level team in the country for a reason, right? And the reason is because they're putting stud pitchers out there, and they're putting studs at pretty much every position, right? So they have this pitcher who's obviously, thrown snot, and there's just this clip. It was just a random thing. It was just a pitch from this game, and they're talking about how he threw it 103.8 or 104, whatever it was, and the catcher, Dawg, just missed it. Like he just missed the ball. And like I actually like got pissed. It was like old man yells at cloud. Like I don't know why I was mad. I'm like sitting there. I'm watching the clip. I'm like, this is a fucking Division I catcher. Like how is he missing a ball? Like how he just missed it. It was just it wasn't like that much of a missed sign or whatever. And his posture and his position was so screwed up to begin with that, like, listen, if it's a high school catcher or a D3 catcher or even a Division I catcher that's like, on like maybe not that good of a team, like catching's hard, right? Like we kind of gloss it over because catchers just kind of catch everything in the games that we watch. Catching's hard. Like you watch games at every level, baseball, softball, whatever. Catchers miss the ball kind of like not all the time, but with some level of frequency. But you watch a Division I baseball game with the number one team in the country, and the catcher doesn't miss the ball. Like, you're not missing the ball at that level. So even if it's a missed sign, Dawg, if your fundamentals are good and you're in the right position, even if you miss a sign, you're gonna get at least like a glove on the ball. This wasn't even close, and that was my seminal moment during the year where like it just disgusted me so much. And Dawg, the thing is, like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Like, why is this being taught? who thought that this is such a good idea? Like, and the whole idea of stealing strikes, like I I wasn't a catcher and I wasn't a good baseball player. Like I'm a baseball guy, but like I sucked. Like I wasn't like any good. But one thing I do is I watch and I think I'm kind of eloquent. Like I could take difficult concepts a lot of times and explain them, especially, to kids. I've coached a lot. Um, I'm not coaching like high level people. Like I'm talking about kids here. That's I'm out of my league once we get to high school. I'm not, I'll let the real people take over. But one thing I always did, dog, softball, baseball, I was the guy that was always standing there at the fence and reminding my catcher every single pitch, put your hand behind your back, put your glove up, put your glove forward, you know, give him a target, keep your shin guards up, because if that ball bounces, you want it to hit your shin guards. You don't want to
Hit your
use
thigh.
your
Yep.
shin guards. Don't kneel down with your shin guards. Sure, that makes it easier to kneel down, but if the ball bounces, it's going to hit your leg. Use all that protective stuff. Be protected. Get that glove up. Get it out. Get it a little bit forward. Like all those little things. Like I was the guy that was reminding them of the catching fundies and the girls, and I enjoyed that part.
Hmm.
So maybe it's just me, but like I never ever like with nobody on base, fine. Like go in whatever stance you want to go in. I don't care. Be comfortable. It doesn't bother me. Be comfortable. You come up with something new, come up with something new. That's great. Try it. Two strikes, get in your regular stance. Why? Why? Why with two strikes? Well, because if you drop the third strike, you got to be able to go and get the ball. Or if a ball's hit out in front of the plate, I want you to be in better position to plant your foot
Field
and
position.
get
Yeah.
get down and pick it up, right? Like,
Hmm.
and then with runners on base, like, no, now I don't care if there's no stealing. Like we're working on the fundamentals because someday there's going to be stealing, and if you're a decent catcher now, they're going to keep catching you. So, Doug, I don't know who came up with this stuff. You're not stealing strikes in little league with any relevance. The umpires are as unpolished as the kids are. So you're not stealing strikes by doing that. And when you get to these other levels, like I just don't know where the rubber meets the road. Like I don't and I can't believe that it got infiltrated all the way to the majors.
It is hard to imagine that even if you agree with the assumption that you could pick up the random strike along the way. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm going to guess at some point someone came out and said that they think they can get it, and the umpires want to adjust somehow. I don't know. Whatever. Let's just let that fly and say, fine, you can do that. I don't see how in the world a pass ball doesn't like way overcompensate for that one extra strike that you picked up that maybe the ump calls, maybe the ump doesn't call. I mean, yeah, maybe you get one or two of those a game. But I mean, you get a pass ball, especially coming out for big guys, second, third, or something like that. Like you just gave up a run on that. I mean, it's crazy
How about if you
to
just give
think
up
that.
a base? Just
Yeah,
giving up a base is worse than giving up two, four balls in the dirt that go by you.
yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy that whole sort of thought. I understand, and the thought, and once again, it's like again the Moneyball thing, like the other side's not going to adjust. Like people aren't going to go around and continue to adjust. Like guys are going to steal more because they see you with the knee down. So now all of a sudden, you add that half a second of getting the ball down to second base. Also now that guy's stolen it, right? Are you factoring that into your equation? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Right. So that's the thing. There's constant static optimization, and I'm sorry, lingo. Like you're optimizing to try and make a best outcome, but that doesn't assume that other things can change within the game. And I think that's where it breaks down constantly, right? You're taking on a human opponent. You're not just dealing with the AI who is going to do exactly what you told it to do, right? It's the smart Fry is going to go and steal that base, right? Maybe he wouldn't have run normally. If he sees it, knee down, whatever else like that. He sees this guy always, puts a knee down with first strike or something like that. That smart guy's going to go ahead and take off and take advantage of that. And is that in your model? I don't know. I'm going to guess probably no.
Just keep taking them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Take like you can make a marginal base stealer into a good base stealer.
yeah,
And you know what? If I'm the other team, I'm willing to let my players have a little extra leeway. Go ahead, try it, make the mistake. You know what? If you get thrown out, I don't care. It's on me. But if they're gonna do that, it's gonna raise our percentages enough. We're
yeah,
gonna make the one or two more plays than them, maybe
yeah.
even a lot more.
Yeah,
And what
and like
about
the
just
the whole like anti-stolen base one is just like another one to me. Like, if you ever pitched and have a guy who's like dancing off first or dancing off a third, that is completely in your head. That completely affects that pitcher. And once again, I think that gets completely understated, the impact of that. I remember even the Mets teams in the '80s, they had a heck of a time with the Cardinals, the running Redbirds out there. Um, all a bunch of slap hitters who run all over the place, constantly had them under stress. Right. I mean, even the Darlings, the Goodens, all those guys, they definitely affected their pitching because of the impact of the other team on the base pass. Um, you know, throwing errors. I mean, there's all sorts of other positive things that can come out there that don't necessarily get measured by that. Like I said,
oh well,
and begetting all that just to try and get that one strike. I mean, it's nuts.
look, mental errors which are
Yeah,
not recorded, mental errors.
yeah,
That all that stuff. And the thing is, it doesn't just add up over the 162. It gets under a microscope when you get into a more important part of the game and a more important game,
yep,
let alone a more important part of a more important game. Like it even gets more focused, more laser focused. And I don't know. I mean, look, baseball's still great. It's still great. But I just so much more enjoy watching the kind of Yankee team that we're seeing this year where I look, I nobody loves Judge and Rizzo back to back more than me. Like, come on, it's like my whole thing, right? Cousin Anthony, blah blah blah. Which, by the way, he took that pitch off of the elbow, left the game. I was a little scared. Boom, right back in the lineup and in the field, no less. Um, but look, I like guys that are out there scrapping it. I like, Kiner Falefa. I mean, he hit better in Texas really than he's hit now. 267, so he's putting the ball in play. But he hasn't hit a homer, and we're what halfway through the season, pretty much. Um, you kind of thought maybe like
and you know what?
he would have hit
Amazingly,
one.
your shortstop didn't hit a home run, and you're still winning games.
Oh
It's
yeah,
almost like that's kind of the way it's gone for like the last 100 years or so. Like, it's gravy when your shortstop does hit a 20 plus homers or something like that, but most of the time that wasn't the case. And you know what? It didn't matter because the most important part of their game was their defense, right? And now that's the thing with IKF, right? Up the middle there for them. That's a huge change. That's that the Yankees are realizing the value of that once again. Um, and that's help turn that team, well, not turn around, help take the team to the next level from last year.
yeah. And it looks like they just secured the victory 2-1 over the A's. Oh, get that off there.
The one
Get that
message I
off there.
want anyone that's looking at my story to take.
Okay, that was me checking the game, and of course an ad coming up that I didn't want to. We're gonna have to charge them. We're gonna have to charge them for that.
We're always looking for new advertisers.
Yeah, that's a perfect lead-in. But we're gonna be happy with the ones that we have right now, and we're gonna start out. We're gonna change the order. We're gonna do Big Ed's car wash first today, because Ed usually gets the headlining spot. But who knows? Like maybe this is maybe the first best, second, third, fourth, whatever. Big Ed's car wash, Fair Lawn, New Jersey, 1716 River Road. If you're in the Bergen or Passaic County areas in New Jersey, and your ride is dirty, that's not acceptable. And the best place to go is Big Ed's Car Wash in Fair Lawn. Ed has everything you need. 118-foot tunnel, does everything clean and green. I say it all the time. I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. I'm not exaggerating it. I take my car there. My car is there, and they not only do they get clean inside and out, they for so I don't know what happens, but they stay cleaner longer. I don't know how he does it. I don't know what it is. Maybe he just does it a little bit better than all the others. I'm totally biased. I always go to Big Ed's Car Wash in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, and you need to too, because you can't be cruising around with an ugly, disgusting, filthy ride inside or out at any time of year, but particularly in the summer. Big Ed's Car Wash in Fair Lawn. Just down the road in Glen Rock is Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness. Book online at gattoacu.com, GATTOACU.com, or call 551-212-3845. Dog, again, that number. It looks like you're writing it down. 551-212-3845. I'm probably going to need a session after all of the yard work that I was doing today. Not the easy kind, moving rocks and digging holes and burying wires and doing all that stuff for Rizzo Automation, not mentioned in the sponsors. But Gatto Acu. I can't even tell you how good it is. They're off to such a great start there. It's a new business, a small business, right in Glen Rock, New Jersey, and you really get taken care of there. They're thinking ahead. They're using their heads, using their education, using science and technology, and breaking new ground. You really get taken care of at GattoAcupuncture.com. Once again, GattoAcu.com, or call 551-212-3845, 551-212-3845. FMSgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. Doug, how many years has this family-run, family-owned business been going now?
For over 50 years.
Wow. Now, of course, they weren't
I'll say
FMS
53, but I'm not
Graphics.
100% on that.
they weren't always FMSgraphics.com, because there wasn't a .com 50 years ago. So it's been an evolutionary business there. And they know how to take care of all your printing and promotional needs. FMSgraphics.com. FMSgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. And since our analytics, as you probably figured out by this point, tell us most of our listeners and viewers are in the North Jersey and New York City area, you might be thinking of relocating out. You might be thinking of relocating in. You might be thinking of relocating within. Are you selling? Are you buying? Are you renting? Are you going to lease? What are you going to do? You're going to call the Mascolo Group, serving all of your real estate needs in the northern and Pascack valleys and all of northern New Jersey. You're going to call 201-615-3665, 201-615-3665, or go to GaryMascolo.com, 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 or call 201-615-3665, 201-615-3665. That's the place to go if you are in need of any kind of real estate service in the Northern Valley, the Pascack Valley, or anywhere in northern New Jersey. The Mascolo Group. If you would like to do business with us, Dawg, just contact us any way you can. We're on Twitter at Diamond Diehards, everywhere on social media, on even on LinkedIn.
As we say, the DMs are wide open.
DMs are wide open at Diamond Diehards, or if you want to, you could, if you
Ping the dog. It'll work. It's fine.
Dog's eye candy, married man, but eye candy nonetheless. Jeff Healy 8 on Twitter. That's the way to get the dog. And the Facebook group, chime in over there, become part of the community. And if you were on the Facebook group, you're catching this live, or you could be catching it not live, but you certainly have the option to catch it live if you're on the Facebook group. All right, a lot of pimping over there. Doug, I feel like we covered Yankees and Mets, like in our whole diatribe about the fundamentals as well. Like,
yeah, absolutely. They're the best examples of going out there and doing it now. By the way, I was interacting a little bit with Shigon Nation on the. So I was peeking down. So.
Oh, on the Twitter.
On the Twitter.
Oh, let's see.
So yeah, actually, and Jeff was just talking with, I missed who was doing it now. They were talking about like the knee down and stealing strikes and all that. I'm like, we're literally talking about right now. Like same exact thing. I said there's just red meat for the Shigan guys. So, and they're spot on. So
Yeah, look, it's just baseball.
yeah,
Like it's just baseball, Like go back to the fundamentals.
yeah,
Those are the things that you build on. The ones who go outside the fundamentals are, if they're freaks and whatever, that's fine. Not everybody's going to be Ken Griffey. Not everybody's going to be Ronald Acuna. But guess what? Usually those players are the ones whose fundies are, in the end, very, very good. Like,
yeah,
does anybody have better fundamentals than like Mike Trout?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Repeatable.
it's it's funny. Like again, like I'll go back to the, is it data is all position and stuff like that. Like it's just arming the player, right? Like someone did the analysis of the guy always hits the ball to the right side, so we got to shift everyone over to the right side, right? And then it's, hey, they're positioning like this. If you hit it to the left side now, all of a sudden you have a much more wide open shot, and your batting average should go up tremendously. And guess what? The good players are starting to do that now, right? So if you have a guy who normally hits 280, you give him the half the field, all of a sudden the guy's hitting 350, 350, 380 or something like that going the other way. And guess what? The team shift back then, right? You don't need to ban the shift or whatever. Just let baseball players be baseball players, right? Armor them with the data and say, this is what they're doing to you. And if you try and go this way, these are your chances of doing better. And let them go out and execute rather than just try and pigeonhole them into craziness. Stuff we talk all the time. But
Yeah, I am totally against banning this shift.
it's just, that was one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. I'm like, you're just flat out admitting like we just it's not a game that you interact with again. I'm like, it's just, yeah. That's yelling at the clouds time, but boy, I mean, it's funny we have to even discuss that, right? I mean, that's so blatantly stupid. Why would we even have to debate this? Yet apparently we do.
Oh, by the way, Ben Joyce is the kid from Tennessee, the pitcher.
Okay.
Throws like 105. I don't know. You're going to hear about him in the draft because he's going to go first. But no,
Yeah.
I don't know first. He's going to be in the first round. I don't know. He's still a little bit of a mystery. I wonder if he could throw harder than O'Neal Cruz, the Pirates shortstop. That stud, dude. Have you seen that? Hey, he's been my in to Cliff Floyd. I've been talking. Cliff Floyd was like, yeah, this guy when he throws across the diamond, I haven't seen a guy do that since Sean Dunston.
Exactly.
And I'm looking at him like, oh my God, he said it. This is what I was thinking as I was thinking it.
So 100%. He was unbelievable throwing the ball.
Oh my God, he was absurd.
I used to see him all the time. So obviously on the Cubs and playing the Mets and all that. So yeah, you always saw the highlights of Dunston. But
yeah. Like he would take his time.
Ridiculous cannon.
Dunston would take his time. You're like, what's he doing? And then like he had the Dawg. I used to say it right. His release was like Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Like he had he just picked up the ball, went straight up, and boom, and it's just like a missile out of his hand. Like didn't even have to like rear back and throw. Like oh my God, but he totally reminds me of Dunston with the cannon. I mean, just being a 6'7" shortstop is, I haven't really seen him play enough defense to say, okay, you're like totally defensively he reminds me of him, but like just the arm, the release, the way he takes his time, and that kid did such a great interview after his season debut. He had played 2 games, I think, at the end of last season, and he came up. And in his season debut, he had the hardest ball thrown by an infielder this year and then hit the Pirates' hardest ball. Now, I know. So this is where I like the analytics.
Yeah.
Where they're telling me he threw the hardest ball by any infielder this year. And then in the same game, he hit the hardest ball exit velocity-wise of any Pirate this season, 112 miles an hour and change. So to me, that's where I like the analytics.
Yeah.
So, okay. If he can hit a ball 112 miles an hour, like that's great. Like so if he hits one like 110 or 114, do I care? Like, hits the shit out of the ball, like he
Yeah.
smokes the ball, and he's fun to watch. A 6'7" shortstop. Like we really haven't seen that. So and plus Cabrian Hayes, I love him. Um, he's an exciting young player. The Pirates are starting to put together. Like the Orioles are playing better. The Pirates have a few guys now. Like they're starting to put guys together. And the Royals brought up Vinny. Hey, Vinny Pasquantino over here. The Italian Nightmares finally up Kansas City. He was lighting up the minors. And now he's going to get a shot, so we'll see what that does with the Royals. Dog, I keep looking for the suspensions for from the brawl,
Oh, the Angels.
the Angels Mariners brawl, which
that was crazy.
that was the biggest Angels Mariners brawl since the Naked Gun, the Enrico Palazzo game.
It's the right fielder.
And Reggie wanted to kill the Queen. The Queen, but who's still the Queen?
Exactly.
She's still the Queen.
She's the only one still on the field.
Yeah, I know. That's right. Yeah, because OJ. Well, I don't know.
The Queen.
OJ's out there.
True.
The Queen and OJ still out there. So Phil Nevin, 18 games into his stake as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim manager, has now won 7 games and drawn a 10-game suspension. So by 28 games, basically within his first month of being the manager, he's going to have been suspended for 10, lost 11, and won 7. But what I thought was kind of I mean, listen, is the brawl funny? Like, I don't know, like it was. Somebody made a good video, like it isolated Ohtani. Said, was Ohtani like the most polite guy ever in a brawl? And he's like grabbing one guy and he's pulling him away, and he's like, if I was on the Angels, like I would have run to Ohtani and I would have just like headlocked him and just ran him out as far away
Exactly.
from everybody.
Put a cordon around him.
Yeah, just get him out of there. But he wasn't really in the fray, but he did run out of the dugout to his credit, to defend his teammates and whatever was going on. But Dog, did you see who got a 2-game suspension for the Angels?
No, I'm guessing Thor.
No, it was Ray Montgomery, our
Ray,
pal.
Ray?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they banned Ray for 2 games, our buddy.
Damn.
So he's the first guest in the history of Diamond Diehards to be suspended by the major leagues.
So far.
Maybe, yeah, maybe by the time he's sitting out, maybe we get him on.
There you go.
Working on a few things, Dog. By the way, we're not going to talk about it on the air, but one of them.
Always working.
Good job, Dominic Rizzo. That's all I'm saying. Good job.
That would be good.
I don't know if anything's going to come of it, but a good job by Dominic Rizzo.
Always be close.
Dominic getting a little credit right there. A little plug for RizzoAutomation.com.
Yeah, he may commit as executive producer.
Yeah. Well, he did the jingle, so anytime you hear
a little title bump here, a little title bump.
Anytime you hear the jingles, they were created by Dominic Rizzo. So actually, Dog, why don't we use that and let you hear Dominic's jingle as we head on to our final segment of Diehard Dads. All right. So, let's just talk about Dominic Rizzo. So, heading up the efforts of Rizzo Automation, but also working on a lot of stuff at the Rizzo house as we've been in this odyssey of redoing or doing our backyard. Putting in the pool, got that in. But basically this albatross of a project started April of last year, and we are still not done. We are close.
Supply chain.
But Dominic Rizzo was able to earlier in this day complete the Sonos and audio part
Nice.
of the backyard. He finished the most of the lighting. He needs a little bit more equipment for the landscape lighting to finish that part. But he had all of the sound stuff going, and of course he needed help to bury the wires that are all over the place. And who better to do that than dear old Dad, who was sitting there with a pair of gardening gloves that I destroyed in a matter of 2 days. They were a little small and they had flowers on them. I didn't care. I said, I'm just going to destroy these. I'm going to go for it. So yeah, I was moving a lot of rocks and digging my hands and in in mud and rock and dirt and burying wires, and we got it all done. But one thing, Dawg, one thing
Hmm.
that was big was I got some good insight into Dominic Rizzo's playlist. Dominic Rizzo, there is nothing on Dominic Rizzo's playlist that is newer than, I would say, 20 years old.
Nice.
A lot of Beatles. A lot of Beatles.
Okay.
This is a trombone player who also has just taught himself piano and keyboard and messes around with that on his own. So if you ever pop into the Rizzo house, you might hear Dominic playing. He did play the keyboards to do that jingle that you just heard. And it's a pretty impressive playlist. So I've at various times I had to jump in and say I think we need something a little heavier here. We need a little ministry, a little front 242. I said, but boy, the Fordham guys would love your playlist. I'm like, the Fordham guys would love your playlist more than they would love mine.
Yeah, yours sucks.
Mine's awesome. Mine's awesome. Mine's varied. I do admit there's a few things that varied, but his playlist is it's quite
Oh,
nice.
classics. There you go.
He's got a lot. Yeah, he's got a lot of classics. He's got 60s, 70s. There's even a couple of a big bopper song in there. So he's got
Nice.
the 50s covered technically, and 70s, 80s, a little bit of 90s. But I don't think there was anything from even the new millennium in there. So yeah, so good job by Dominic Rizzo.
Very cool.
Props for the great leading up the charge for Rizzo Automation, which you can find at rizzoautomation.com. Leading up the charge there, but also helped greatly by producer Xavier Rizzo and yours truly jumping in there when I need to, and probably we'll do that a little bit more here as the years go on. So a little plug for the newly created family biz. That's kind of like a thing, I guess, with the Rizzos generationally. I hope so. We'll see how that goes, but been very impressive, and of course Debbie Rizzo, the architect of all that, and Luisa Rizzo collected some garbage today. So she's
Everyone's helping.
so it was so Xavier Rizzo built a couch. Producer Xavier built a couch today. So a lot of
A lot of sweat equity, as we say.
a lot of sweat equity today, and hopefully, as I was tweeting with our pal Mike Sappho before, but offline we were talking. So he did a really good podcast with the director, the president of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Dawg, I recommend you go check.
Oh, I
Mike
would definitely hit
Sappho's
that. That
latest
sounds awesome.
podcast. So Sappho and I were talking.
Sappho's
offline.
like fascinating.
Oh yeah, he's good, yeah.
I literally listen to that guy in anything. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
And so that was good. We were talking a little bit offline, and I did tell him about the eventual plan. That would be great to have Diamond Diehards episodes at in the Riz backyard. So, which a plan that you have known and been a part of for a long time, but now we're inching up on the possible execution of that thing. Hopefully before the end of summer we could pull off a few shows, and you maybe even get to meet Big Ed at that point.
That would be very cool.
Not just you, but all of Diamond Diehards might get to meet Big Ed at that point.
Nice. Very cool. So let's see. Should
Oh,
I,
by the way, this is a great job by my pal Georgia Morris. Otani is all Cobra Kai. That was a classic. Oh yeah, and his translator got suspended. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
Yes, the translator got suspended. I'm like, how's he getting suspended?
Oh, that's awesome. And then
All
Otani
right.
hits a homer. There you go. Good stuff. Let's see. So for Diamond, let's see. Diehard Dads, we got. Let's look up with Molly in this. I always go back and forth between moving Katie out of the apartment or Molly. But I'll go with Molly, I guess. So Molly did. I think I might have talked before on. So like she got the job over in Spain. She's going to be teaching English over in Spain, Southeast Spain, starting in October. So it's pretty cool. So just graduated college and so forth. And her latest thing is sort of like out of nowhere. She did a lot of outdoor stuff at Elon. She was on the Elon outdoor team and did a lot of work with that. And apparently, like some group was doing tours out in the Pacific Northwest. I guess like based out of Minnesota, but they're going out to like Washington and so forth and going along the Pacific Northwest, and needed a tour guide or a facilitator, whatever staff to kind of go along with it. So she finds out like Tuesday or so, interviews Wednesday. I dropped her off at the flight yesterday morning, and she's out there like on the trail the whole 9 yards. So just her in a backpack, 5 or 6 weeks, just tooling along. Just remarkable. So get some bucks on it. Does what she wants to do. So just a proud diehard dad moment on that. That she really had some get up and go, and she could have done our stuff, just kind of chill out for a little bit for a couple months or so, and she went and seized on it, and has some great get some more great experiences, and hopefully start working on being like a travel journalist.
Wow.
So,
Literally on the trail.
Literally on the trail. So yeah, so pretty cool. So
I gotta give props to Noreen Healy for showing up at the Summit Car Show.
That's true. Yeah.
On Father's Day, attended by
Mhm.
yours truly and the Rizzo triplets. If you Dawg and I think did we put the picture up on
I think
the
so.
Facebook group?
Yeah. I think we talked it last time.
Yeah.
So that was
Eli Manning was around. Didn't get to speak with him, but
this time.
yeah, probably does listen to the show. So,
Yeah.
I kind of count that as him being on the show. Basically, we're in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Close enough.
Fellow elk.
Fellow elk. Well, I love it.
There you go.
All right, Dawg. I think we did a good one for Tuesday Night Live. Got one in the books here after we had done like 3 shows kind of in 3 days, and then gave ourselves a little bit of a break last week, but back this week. I don't know. We gotta see what's going on next week. I'm gonna be running around a little bit, so we'll see if we could put one in. Maybe we'll just do some weird offhand Facebook Live kind of thing and show up or not.
Okay. There you go.
Because then we probably should try to do something right at the All-Star break, maybe. We might be able to pull that one off. So
Yeah,
if we don't see you for a little bit, just hang in there. We'll try to give you different content. But the best way to check us out is hitting the subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching us, because then when we do that show, whether we're doing it live or uploading it, you will get an alert at some point. And we definitely need you to share what you like about us with us and tell others. Say, hey, check out this podcast. These guys are pretty good. We kind of like it. And they're going places, and you'll be in on the ground floor with us. So we do appreciate anybody who wants to come along for the journey. Let's say a quick thanks to Kevin Kernan for his article. Once again, I posted it in the chat. It's on ball9.com. Moneyball at 20 is the name of the article, and we'll give him his Twitter props at AMBS, America's Most Beloved Sportswriter. Also, our pal Jeff Fry will give him some props too at O the letter 3 the number J Fry FRYE on Twitter, or just search the hashtag She Gone. She Gone.
Exactly.
And
I think Kernan does that at AMBS _ Kernan. I think it's Kernan. I don't know if
are
he
you
may have
sure
two.
about
That's the
that?
one. That's the one I follow. Is actually
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So I don't know if he had. He might have had like another one. I don't know. He may do
Oh
both,
wow.
but
Yeah.
I did see that one. So
That's a great call out by Dawg.
no worries. No
Wait,
worries.
so who is that AMBS? I gotta look this
I
up.
don't say,
Some
like,
person named Amber who has protected tweets. So yeah, don't follow that person.
wow.
Follow Kevin Kernan. Good job by Dawg.
Maybe. Let's not short Amber yet. I mean, Amber's just an unknown, right? You never know. She
I'm gonna
sent you a straight DM. You might want to be a little cautious on it.
I'm gonna totally short Amber. I'm just not even gonna make any bones about it unless she follows. Then she's good.
Well, there you go. Tough
Uh,
guy, but a fair guy.
you gotta have rules. I mean,
That's it. Exactly. It's a rule-based society. Let's go.
yeah, that's how we thrive.
That works.
I will say this, Dawg. One final thought. One final thought.
Okay.
And I've kind of had it on my mind, and I know we're at the end here, and basically people might have turned it off at this point, so whatever.
Diamond Dog's gotta go for a walk. Okay.
Okay. It's short. It's short. It's short
Okay.
and sweet.
Mhm.
I've been watching and paying less and less attention to the politics stuff lately,
Mhm.
and watching more and more and more baseball. I swear, I feel like I watch the Angels like every night, and I'm on the
Mhm.
East Coast, so that's not like an easy. I'm not saying I sit there and watch the whole game. I put on the game, and I can't. It's like practically every time I do it, I just think back to, I'm like, man, if I was like 12 or 14 or 16 or 20, like, and I had all these games available to me to just like I don't like I just I knew a lot, but like I without watching a lot. um like I feel like I would have been able to go crazy just to like I used to drive back and forth to Florida 3 times a year, and listen to cassette tapes or whatever, 8-track tapes, and sit there and on the radio, depending on where I was, if we were driving at night, I would try to pick up like any kind of game that I could get. And now, you could just listen to a game and knock off 3 hours on your trip and never lose it if you're on satellite. Like I've felt a lot of relief and a lot of joy from following sports more and the politics stuff less. Um, and not that, like, I'm not one of these people who's ready to like jump off social media because I enjoy it. But there's like a place for it in my life.
Yep.
And it's kind of centered around this and centered around sports. But you know, I was listening to some of Dominic Rizzo's playlist, so maybe we're still in the Diamond Diehards part of thing, and you know, he knows that there's a great song by George Harrison that I really love, and I'm like, My Sweet Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and that song appeals to spirituality, and it doesn't matter like if you're an atheist or a Catholic or a Hindu or Hare Krishna, like it's, and I just was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm here. We're working on the yard. Like, there's no point in my life where I wouldn't have wanted a yard like this and felt like so fortunate. like I just wanted to have my friends over and have like a nice love-in, and
Mm-hmm.
just drink beers and do whatever. Uh, and I just, we're at some trying times here and in our nation, and it just seems the more that people pay attention to the yucky stuff that they're being fed on whatever station you're watching, and just regurgitating talking points from either side. Just, I don't know. I'm finding a little catharsis and laying off of it and looking more at um, my family and my friends and acquaintances and saying fuck all that. I'm just gonna be happy.
It's funny. There's that's a wonderful sentiment, and I applaud you for it. And it's funny. It takes me back a little bit to the party last summer for the Big 50 for me. Like family and friends around, and just sitting around in my happy place in the pergola, around the fire pit and stuff, and just how special that is. So a girl I follow on the Twitter, that she was this thing like, get outside. And so like I post that occasion and stuff, and like just like her like on the trail or something like that. And she does like finance stuff too. But so it's kind of like a little sort of hobby thing for her. But like that's so true. And I was just thinking that like with going for the scouts and we're doing canoeing and stuff like that, just how vital that is, and just to have that sort of balance within your life on it, 100%. That you can really get wrapped up into all the screens and whatever else, and just the stuff getting yelled at and stuff, and just you miss the opportunities for the simple joys in life, and going out and be able to work with your family on a place that you'll be able to enjoy for for decades, hopefully, right? That and you all helped build it, right? And then eventually they'll bring their little kiddos by, and they'll talk about how we helped grandpa put the stuff in and stuff. That's just that's be a good one, man. That's gonna be good. That's gonna be a good memory. Kind of lock that one away.
And don't forget on how Grandpa could still kick your ass.
Old man strength.
Felt some good strength lifting they were little rocks, but there were a lot of them, and I was lifting them and moving them over and over. It was a damn good workout. And then I was also pruning trees, so like I had to get the GI Joe Rizzo Kung Fu grip, yeah. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, we have a lot of friends, in our similar group, and some on the outside, and I couldn't care less about their politics, and I couldn't care less about differing politics within my family. It's never gonna start a fight with me. I don't care. I respect it. I'll talk about it. I share different views from probably everybody, right? Like who has the same ones, but in the world that we came from, that was a beautiful thing that you and I disagree and we talk and we maybe find some common ground on some stuff, maybe not on other stuff. And then, we slam a few beers and we find common ground there. Right now, I hope that that's a future for, for this world. But the more I see and the more I look at the media, and I do have some, level of expertise, as in examining and studying mass media and things like that for a very long time independently. I see people shifting away from that stuff and going more toward independent sources. And, hopefully that'll bring discussions back full circle and we'll get a little bit more on track here and enjoy the Riz backyard.
There you go. Good stuff.
All right. What else is there to say? I don't think there is anything much more to say, except the way we always end it, which is for the dog, Jeff Healy. This is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.